in part 5 with you tonight, where we talk about accessible tourism and events around the southwest region of WA. So welcome if you haven't joined us before. Grab a pen and paper, something to take notes on, grab a cup of tea or something like that, and I hope that you enjoy all this information and education that we have for you tonight. Now this is the 5th part. There are 6 parts, so if you wanted to catch up on the rest of them, you can look at the previous webinars, or you can jump over next week and the week after. We've got 2 more weeks of the live webinars, so if you've missed any, please try and book into the last remaining ones. Okay, first off, I'm going to do an acknowledgement of country. 30-foot drop acknowledges the Department of Communities. 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people, their cultures and beliefs, to those elders past and present. 30-foot drop funding. 30-foot drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities, Disability Services for funding this and many other initiatives. Without their help, so many projects such as this Two Wise Monkeys project wouldn't see the light of day. So we would be much more poorer for it as a community if we didn't have that funding, and we thank them very much. This workshop is part of the realities and advantages of an access and inclusion grant awarded to 30-foot drop as part of an information, linkages and capacity building grant for 2018 and 2019. Let's go over a little bit of housekeeping on how the 30-foot drop webinars are run. Unfortunately, we do not have all the resources to monitor all of our live streaming platforms. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you won't be able to send me a direct message. But if you are wanting to send a direct message, there's a link below, which is www.30footdrop.com.au/live, and you will be able to jump into the live box on the website and send a direct message. So if you're wanting to send a direct message, that's how you'll need to do it. We'll be covering a lot of information in a short period of time, so we ask attendees to try and minimise any distractions. I know that that's quite hard with the current times going on at the moment, so we can all just do our best, I guess. And also make sure that if you talk about 30-foot drop, that you tag us and share our information, because the more people that can learn about what we're doing, the more changes we can make in the community. Every session is recorded, so if you wanted to go back on anything, you can rewind it once I've hit the end button, and all the previous workshops are there stored for you to rewatch if you want to. Everything that we reference in the webinars is all available in more detail on our website. So if you're wanting to look deeper into the stats or looking at the missing out report, all these things to do with the workshops, you can jump onto our website and look at more information. At the end of the webinar, we do have a short survey that we would be really grateful to you guys if you could fill that out for us, because the more feedback we can get, the better changes and the better people we can become by feedback. So, presenters. I'm one of the presenters and I'm Lisa. I am Hear No Evil. Ben is the other monkey. He is See No Evil, and Ben has lived a life in both sides. He's seen what it's like to be an able-bodied person, and he's seen what it's like to be a disabled person. So after having his accident, he realised that people just don't know enough. People aren't educated. Businesses aren't educated around disability and impairment. Hence why we are here today. So I am the Hear No Evil, as I said, and my impairment is more of a hidden one, and most people around me wouldn't even know that I have it. I was born 30-something years ago, 10 weeks early, and with premature birth there can be complications at the start or throughout life. At the age of 8, we found out that I had mild dyslexia. So my teachers were awful to me. Some teachers, one teacher actually in particular, used to hit me on the head in front of all my classmates. Why don't you understand what's wrong with you? And I'd just be sitting there going, oh my God, I don't even know. And another teacher used to read out a few of my marks to the whole class. I don't know why. It was completely embarrassing and made me feel just like a piece of crap. But despite those challenges growing up, I was determined to prove them wrong. I found my passions were in art, and at the age of 13 I realized, hey, I can actually draw, I can actually paint, and I can do photos. So that's where I took my life. I got an arts diploma when I left school, and that's taken me all around the world. I've also got a fine art diploma where I have done picture framing and preserved museum type artwork, restoration, organised exhibitions, marketing, catering, everything to do with art gallery stuff. I've done it, and it's taken me all around the world. I've worked in all galleries around the world, and yeah, I've really loved it. I also love to help people, which is why I'm with the Two Wise Monkeys also. I still do photography and art. I sell my photos and I take family portraits, but I also am doing this with Ben. I want people to feel happy. I want to show empathy. I want to see change. And if I can help in some way to make these changes and help people feel good about themselves, then I've won. So that is us. And when you see Ben next, he is in on Tuesday morning. He can tell you a little bit more about his story. But if you want to know more, you can look at the website. So when we've got monkeys, there's supposed to be 3 wise monkeys. So we've got see no evil, hear no evil. Where is speak no evil? Who is speak no evil? Did you guess it? Yes, you guys. So the aim of tonight's workshop, is to turn you into a wise monkey. Speak no evil. You'll begin on a journey of realizing impairment or not. We are all human and deserve to be acknowledged and treated in the same way as anyone else. Such an important message. There is no reason why anyone should be treated differently. We were all born the same way, made the same way, everything is the same. And if you do want to become that Speak No Evil monkey, we do have t-shirts available like the one behind me, from size 5, kid size, all the way up to 5XL, and they're available in black and white. So get yourself one of those if you are wanting one. Now let's go over the outline and method of tonight's workshop. So how are we going to get you started on the path of a wise monkey? Well, there's a lot to learn about people with impairment and their potential impact on your business. First up, we're going to look at the most recent Australian research so that you can understand the size of the accessible tourism market in WA. This is an exciting market to learn about, and it's especially exciting if you're watching tonight. This market has definitely been forgotten. Let's have a look at this lost market, and please, along the way, ask yourself, are you meeting the needs for people with disability and impairment in the tourism industry? After this, we will then be breaking it down into segments, and we will examine the characteristics of and habits of it. To finish off, we will do an open forum session where you can ask questions, but please feel free if you have any questions to ask any along the way. So how are we going to cover this? What will our teaching method be? The answer is fun, open, honest discussion. If we can't be open and honest about disability impairment and the changes that need to be made, well, then they're not going to be made. So let's be open and honest. If you see something within a business or service that isn't meeting your needs as someone with a disability or an impairment, nicely let that company know, hey, I found it really hard getting in your door. It's really heavy and I had to ask a stranger to help me get in. You might want to think about changing the door or something. It's only words. Just as long as you put it in a nice way and don't get angry, then what's the harm in asking? You'll notice that there is very little written content on the slides, and that is because we're all here to interact with each other easily. If there was all this wording on there, too many colours, too much going on, then you're not going to be able to keep up, you're not going to understand, and we also don't believe in death by PowerPoint. So it's nice and easy for everyone, including people with disability or impairment. And if you do have a hearing impairment and you are finding it hard to hear, please jump over to the platform Facebook, turn the sound down, and you will get subtitles. So that's an amazing thing that Facebook have done, and let's hope that other platforms follow suit. Now, I'm going to go over some terminology which people get mixed up. A lot of people think disability and impairment is the same thing, also access and inclusion, but it's not. So let's go over these. An impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss or difference of physiological or psychological function. In short, your impairment is your medical diagnosis. So my medical diagnosis when I was 8 was that I have mild dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access or participate in something. Disable, unable. So an example for someone like me would be too much wording, stylized script, complex information can make it hard for people with a learning disability or another kind of impairment to understand your information. This is important to know because some people's impairments are hidden, and we're not necessarily getting the right information that we need to use your business or service because it's complicated or because there's too much going on, which then means that we are potentially walking away from your business and not spending our money with you. So look at your marketing, look at your websites, look at your social media platforms. Make sure they're nice and clear and easy to navigate. And have help at hand in case someone does need help. Because I know for me that if it's too complicated, my husband can agree, if it's too complicated and I get annoyed, I'll just go and find something else. I'll go and find another website that's easier or another place that's going to suit me better. And that's what most of us are doing. So you don't want to be that person that we walk away from. So these are the changes that you need to make. And if you want to look at more changes, you can join us for other webinars. Yesterday we looked at more in-depth changes that you can make to websites and advertising and all that sort of thing. So join us for part 4 if you want to look at that. Okay, but tonight we're on to the tourism and events side of it. Next is the difference between access and inclusion. Access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, physical barriers, to participate in the activities and functions of a community. At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and can be accessed with a checklist. So you could own a cafe. You could go around your cafe and see, are our door frames wide enough for someone in a wheelchair to actually get through? Is the door too heavy for someone with a disability to push open? Are the door handles at a good level for most people standing and in a wheelchair? There's all these little things that you can go around and check. So if you want to look at a checklist, we do have a checklist on our website, which is the link below this video, where you can download the accessibility checklist and go around your business and make sure it is accessible. Now, inclusion. Inclusion is more of a psychological state of being and is a process here by every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, sexual preference or religion, who wishes to, can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service, as same as every other member in the community. It shouldn't matter that someone appears different, someone that has a disability, someone that has an impairment. It shouldn't matter how we all come across. You should make sure that within your business or service that we are all included. We're all invited to come into your business or service. There's no discriminating against anyone, no matter who they are and what they're about. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense, the differences between disability and impairment and access and inclusion. If you do have any questions, please jump on and give me anything you like, or you can wait till the end. Okay, let's get into tonight's stuff. The Southwest Tourism Stats Overview. The following stats have been taken from the Southwest 2017 Visitors Fact Sheet, as well as the economic contribution of tourism in Western Australia's tourism regions produced by Tourism WA. Both stats information can be found on our resource library. During the 3 years from 2014 to 2016, our region, the Southwest, had an average of 2.49 million overnight visitors. This does not include day trippers, a lot of people. Every visitor stayed on average 3.6 nights. The direct and indirect contribution to the Southwest region in 2016 and 17 was 14%. And tourism accounts for 1 in 5 people being employed in this region. Huge. So there's a lot of money, there's a lot of stats, high stats and percentages are there. We're all waiting to come and spend our money. It's just a matter of making sure that your business is accessible and inclusive. Okay, the accessible tourism market. The following stats have come from a report called The Accessible Tourism of Victoria and Queensland, done by Tourism Australia in conjunction with each state's tourism departments. Unfortunately, though, there is no information that has been released that is specific to WA, but this report also focuses on Australia as a whole. It only looks at the domestic market, so these numbers are likely to be a lot higher if you include international visitors. Due to the similarities, though, of the Southwest tourism market and those of New South Wales and Queensland, we have extracted the findings to calculate the following information. This study estimated that the size of the accessible tourism market for overnight or day trips is about 7%, or about 1.3 million people Australia-wide, equating to 150,000 WA alone. The thing is, with this 7%, most of us really holiday alone, with an average party size of 2.45 for overnight travel and 2.62 for day trips, bringing this figure now to 17%, or 390,000 of WA's population requiring accessible tourism experiences and services. So if you're sitting there and you're in the tourism industry, ask yourself now, is your business accommodating the needs for someone with a disability or impairment? Are these people coming to your business? Are they spending money in your business? Estimated annual expenditure for this segment comes to approximately 8 billion Australia-wide, which equates to 16 million WA-wide, and 163 million here in the Southwest. Who would have thought? That is such a lot of money being spent in the Southwest. And are you getting some of that money? Okay, the unserved market segment. This report noted that there is a segment of Australians with an impairment, including adults caring for a child with an impairment, who are not currently travelling, which is awful, but they would like to travel with certain transport and current technologies. In WA, this segment is estimated at 34,000 people, which is approximately 225 million. This represents a large boost when you consider the current size of 163 million. Understanding the market. So, there is a market segment of people with impairment that can be tapped into by tourism and events businesses. So now let's have a look at their needs so that you can better understand how you can serve them best. Although people with an impairment generally have lower incomes as a whole, they should not be considered as low income. More than 1/4 of those who identified as having a disability or impairment were in the top 2 income categories, which means they have a disposable income above $900 per week. That's a lot of money. In the Accessible Tourism Survey, they found that approximately 55% of the segment who had a mobility issue. This includes people using mobility devices and those who have difficulty moving more than a short distance. Of those in the segment that do not travel, 23% was because it was just too stressful, and the other 22% was because it was just too hard. Like most Australians though, people in this segment travel for leisure, but it was noted that visits to friends and relatives was often preferred because they know the layout of the accommodation, which helped in planning the trip and resulting in a less stressful trip. So if you as a business owner want to be able to offer what those relatives and friends are offering, so those people with disability and impairments can feel like they can actually go somewhere else than relying on friends and relatives every time, then open yourselves up to it. Advertise it. Let people know that you've made changes so that someone with a disability or an impairment or a whole family can come and visit you because you now have an accessible shower, or you now have an accessible restaurant or an accessible parking spot. These are things to all think about to get these people in your door. So, understanding the market part 2. Travellers with impairment share many characteristics with the broader population. The tools used in decision making were just the same as the wider population, with internet searches coming in first and word of mouth second. Reconnection and unwinding are core needs for all Australian travellers, and this is just as true for someone with a disability or impairment. And I reckon it would be more true because, it can be a struggle. Having a disability or an impairment is you've just got that much more pressure on life and on every situation. So you want to go on holiday, you want to relax, you want to be able to go somewhere that's accessible. And if these choices aren't there, then people with disability and impairment are just staying home, and then that opens up another can of worms where you've got mental health and all of that kind of thing from being stuck at home. So please think about their needs. Approximately 40% of travellers with an impairment sought to meet those needs through either more active, more emotionally, or more intellectually stimulating experiences. So that stat just highlights to us that we all want and need the same thing, and that is to feel included within your business. Although travellers with an impairment did slightly fewer activities than the rest of the population, many of the experiences they participated in matched those of the broader population, doing things like everyone else, eating out, visits to the beach, nature, cultural experiences, movies, everything. Overall, they tended to stay in the same types of accommodation and visit the same destinations as the broader population. And of those visitors, only 14% were over 65. So a lot of people think that, we've got to only really make those changes for the older people. No, the older people only account for 14% of those figures. So make your business more accessible, make it more inclusive, because everyone wants to be able to have the option to live a free life and travel where they want to go. It's not very freeing if you can't even go to a place that you may have always wanted to visit. Say you've always wanted to come and visit Albany, but there's a certain place you want to stay and it's not accessible. So, we need to make our southwest region as accessible as we can. And especially in this current time where tourism has taken the biggest hit with the virus. And if you can open up a new market that you haven't really thought about before, open your doors to making a change and bringing in this market to your business, then hopefully that's going to start something and everyone's going to follow suit. And, if you're the first person to do it, then you're amazing. And it just should be a legal requirement anyway that everything is accessible, but unfortunately it's not. And that's why we're here, to educate people and help them understand why it is so important. So that is Tapping In Part 5 tonight. I hope that you enjoyed it and you got a lot out of it. There's so much more to learn, so please join us for the other webinars. They are all very different. We go over how to employ people with a disability or impairment. We go over the disability services. We go over the modifications. We go over the stats. We go over myths, realities, all sorts. So come and join us for the last few weeks of these live webinars. If you are not wanting to do a live webinar, we also have face-to-face learning. So we do it in big groups with a PowerPoint just like this, and we discuss it in the group. So there's all sorts of ways you can educate each other and your friends. So right now I'm going to go to the open forum and leave it open so that you guys can ask any questions. But if you do have to go, please fill out the survey before you go. There's a survey on our website, Tapping In Part 5 survey. Please fill that out so that we can get some feedback on how you are enjoying the webinars. But for now, I'm going to hit the open forum and I will see you very soon. Welcome back. It doesn't appear that there's any questions tonight, which is fine. I will let you guys go and have your dinner or sort out the children. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope to see you guys next week for Tapping in Part 6 on Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. And then I will be seeing you on Wednesday for Tapping in Part 1. Thanks very much for joining me. I will see you next week. Bye.